Today is a mixture of happy and sad. Happy because the Rangers won today. Sad because they won't play again for nearly 6 months. Hi there and welcome, because we are bringing you all of that and more on the DLLS Rangers Podcast starting now.
Rads, does that mean that we get a vacation and 6 months off?
No. Thank you, fans. Thank you, Abs, for asking that question. But no, we, though, do get a great opportunity. We are the first show I know of that will do a daily podcast, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, all Rangers, all off season long. That is going to be cool.
Rads, I'm so excited for it because 2025, I think, is going to be one heck of a season for the Texas Rangers.
All you have to do is look at Bruce Bochy's history and know that he 1-10, didn't make the playoffs in 11, 1-12, didn't make the playoffs in 13, 1-14, didn't make the playoffs in 15. So what does that math do, right? That's one of those sequential things like you used to have in your arithmetic class. Rangers going to the World Series again next year. Let's just see what happens there. But for now, we got a sweep to talk about. We've got a pretty strong finish to the season to talk about. We will do it with the help of J-Dub, Jeff Wilson. He'll join us from Anaheim in just a couple of moments. Abs is here. That's Abby Jones. I'm here too, John Radigan, and of course we've got Queen Katya over there as she takes care of. She takes care of all things technical, all things sort of promotional, and all things disciplinary. So I'm going to keep my stuff like this on a little bit, but I may still try to hit this up into the thing. All right, we'll get one in there yet. So she's a substitute teacher. That's how I act when the sub's in town. Hey, like us, would you please subscribe? And chat along
with us. Play hard, have fun. We get our first. Yay, Coop.
Yep. Thank you, Coop. We appreciate you. And look at that. PHHF.
My papa's going to be so proud. He started like a trend.
An acronym trend now. So you started the acronym. He started the saying. That's awesome. Thank you, Coop. Normal chatter with us. And we got several questions from you before on the pregame edition of this Rangers podcast and also during the game via Twitter. So we're going to get to those questions in the fourth segment. Meantime, send more. Anything you want to know, anything you want us to talk about. Jeff will be with us by then. He is in Anaheim with the team. He'll have the heartbeat, the pulse of this team as they finish the season. And it won't take him long because right now, 6 or 8 of the guys are already on their flights home. I mean, they're flying out of that clubhouse on the last day of the thing. So we appreciate Jeff being there, and he'll be giving us some insights about this sweep to finish the season of the Angels.
Ending on a good note, no doubt about that. You know, the Rangers, I think some people could say it's easy to toss in the towel, but you don't want to do that. You still want to honor the pennant races that are happening and just the wild card situation that we're going to dive into. But the Rangers finished strong. Nathaniel Lowe and Wyatt Langford, I mean, can you have a better September? Of course, you would have loved to see that, you know, earlier in the year. We saw a little bit of that vintage Jonah Heim, 2023 Jonah Heim, getting a guy thrown out at home plate. So, you know, there were positive takeaways. It is bittersweet, but you do feel like today ended on a little bit of a high note. And Nathan Eovaldi.
Yeah.
Priority number one is re-signing Nathan Eovaldi in the offseason. Let's talk about the masterclass today.
Well, he doesn't, first of all, he's working on short rest. He doesn't have to take the ball. It's game 162. It easily could have been a bullpen day for the Rangers today. And in fact, I would imagine that Bruce Bochy was expecting it to be a bullpen day. Once they decided to use Jack Leiter on Thursday, Leiter would have lined up to pitch one of the games in the series in Anaheim. And once they decided to use him on Thursday, which they decided to do, frankly, for a good reason, to get him as well as Kumar Rocker into that playoff intensity, right? That playoff atmosphere of a full
stadium. Which they
stadium.
got a great taste
They
of.
got a dose of it with the Oakland Athletics closing out the stadium there, the Coliseum. So, but once that happened, once Leiter was no longer available, because he actually went 3 1/3 innings in that game, and once he was no longer available, it became clear that this would be a bullpen day. We were always wondering, okay, who's going to be the starter, which would essentially be, one of the guys that's just a bridge to the next bullpen guy. Anyway, Nathan Eovaldi comes to Bruce Bochy and says, I want to pitch. And that is what you love about a guy who is a bulldog, who is a leader, who is a stud, and who showed every bit of every one of those attributes today as he goes out there. And this was a pitcher's duel between the big fella, big old Kohanowicz, who's like a 6'9" guy, and Nathan Eovaldi. Well, there were no runs scored in this game until the Rangers finally plated 2 in the 7th inning. So through 6, man, this is a pitcher's duel of the highest order. And there
was a score in the 4th.
In
Rangers,
the 4th?
Yeah.
Oh, we got the 1 in the 4th. That's right. So we thought, it was 1-0. That's still a pitcher's duel, right? And so we thought that Nathan was probably only going to go for, 5 innings. He finishes the 6th. We're like, is he coming back out for the 7th? He finishes the 7th. Is he coming out for the 8th? He didn't. He didn't come out for the 8th. But look at the numbers, Abs.
Yeah, this is why Nathan Eovaldi makes what he makes and will likely make more in the offseason. I think it just speaks so loud to a guy like Nathan Eovaldi, like you said, who doesn't have to make this outing at all. And really, I think people would ask, why does he? Because it's not like he needs this confidence boost going into the offseason or anything like that. But I think it goes with the type of leader that he is. He wants to show the younger guys, no, this is my obligation to this team. I'm here for this amount of time, and I want to give it my best shot. Now, we hope that it's going to continue to stay in Texas, but I love what I saw from Nathan Eovaldi today. I mean, he just looked as calm as ever, as controlled. Everything was super, super quality. Using that fastball 35% of the time. His max velo today, 96, a little bit lower than we've normally seen. But
especially against this team.
Yeah, it still worked. Nathan Eovaldi was great.
Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic. So to be clear, there is one more year on the contract, but there's a player option, which he needed a certain amount of innings, 300 in the first 2 years, in order to exercise that player option. He got that in like his second to the last start. So he has the option to select free agency as opposed to taking the $20 million, which is what he'll do. I mean, that's clearly what his objective is. That's why he wanted to get to that level. That is what he will do. And the Rangers will get into the bidding. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get into the bidding fairly early in the process, because Nathan Eovaldi is priority 1 for this Rangers team in the offseason. And if you pair him with, Jacob deGrom, obviously, and then the other starting pitchers that you already have, John Gray's still there, Dane Dunning's still there. You've still got the young kids in Rocker and Leiter. And if you have Eovaldi in that mix too, that's a pretty darn good pitching rotation. That's a good 6 or 7 guys from which to pick as you go toward setting up a rotation for next year. So they will definitely try to make Nathan Eovaldi a huge priority, and it's likely that they will I think it's likely that they'll get Nathan Eovaldi signed. I think, and Jeff and I and Abs were talking about this on the pregame show, I think the fact that he pitched today speaks to his mindset as well as sort of his physical, but his mindset is, I want to do whatever I can for this team, right? Which means he cares about this team and he wants to be a part of this team. And you don't necessarily do that if you're like, what am I'm going to be somewhere else next year anyway, right? If you think that, then you don't worry about pitching today. But he did pitch today, and he pitched great.
He did. Nathan Eovaldi sees the dream here. You know, I think it's also important that they got a taste of it last year. I mean, they did the dang thing. They won the World Series championship, so they do know that it's possible. It is going to take a little bit of, you know, piecing the puzzle pieces together in the offseason. The Rangers do probably need a hot bat that they haven't had in the lineup this year, and, you know, some more to consider with things in the pitching department. But I want to point out Nathan Eovaldi is playing some of his best baseball in his career. He will be 35 in February, but this is his second highest strikeout of a season since 2021. He had 195 strikeouts with the Boston Red Sox. He finishes this season with 161. And Nathan Eovaldi finishing with a 3.9. 11-8 record. I mean,
actually, with the outing today, it's 3.80 was his final ERA. So that's just fantastic. He improved it, you know, by a tenth of a point today.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of the peak. You know, I think that there's a very sweet spot in the 30s for pitchers. I do think that Nathan Eovaldi is there right now. So if I'm Chris Young, and I think he shares the same sentiments. It's priority number one.
Yeah, we hear that the priorities go in this order: Nathan Eovaldi, and then Kirby Yates, who's established himself this year as really one of the best closers in the game. He was an all-star for the American League this year. Did a great job pitching there and got to pitch this time. He has been a great find for the Rangers, and it won't surprise us at all if he's priority number 2. Look, they'd love to see Andrew Heaney in this rotation again next year, but then there comes a point where, you know, money becomes somewhat of a
money
deterrent.
Does matter.
Yeah, it does matter. This is a business,
yeah,
and they're trying to make the most of their business. So, but those will be some of the priorities, as will that bat in the middle of the lineup, perhaps a DH type guy. So,
well, hey, with Dustin Harris today.
How about Dustin Harris today?
My gosh.
Yeah, Dustin Harris today had him a day, didn't he? Early in the game, you know, they were talking on the broadcast as he struck out in the first, and he lined out to the third baseman in the 5th inning, and they're like, oh, man, poor guy's still looking for his first major league hit. And, of course, you're thinking, well, yeah, time's running out here. He's only got 1 or 2 more at-bats. So all he does is come up in the 7th inning and hit a double. Oh, that, by the way, scores 2 runs. So his first hit, a double off the wall, also drives 2 in. It's a first hit, 2 RBI double. And then, he came up in the 9th inning, 2 Abs.
It was his first major league home run.
How about that?
I mean, I'm just so happy for this guy. And they said an interesting stat on the show today. For a DH spot, that's probably the best that we've seen out of somebody at that spot this season. 3 RBI, a double, and a home run. I mean, have yourself a day, Dustin Harris. He also said post-game, ever since I was 5 years old, I've wanted to play on this stage. So he did it, and he did well.
He sure did. And he really, Dave and Mike Bassick were talking about it. Man, I'm surprised he's not going a little more crazy. This is after the home run when they're kind of showing him walk up and down the dugout. And they're kind of like, well, I don't know why he's not going so crazy. He doesn't have a big smile on his face. The reality is, you know, it's the old line. Dustin Harris acts like he's been there before. And I like that, right? It's just like, okay, well, I got to go. I got to play the field. I got to do whatever I got to do. I got to be ready, you know, and that's great. That's great. He was in there as a designated hitter today. And, for a young guy like him, it's likely they will try to get him a position to play if he's going to hit like that. But now you know.
No doubt about it.
He could be your DH.
I loved that from him. And then Nathaniel Lowe having quite a September 5th home run of the month for Nate. He finishes out the season with 16.
Yep. A
little bit low, but hey, we'll take it. I think another question in the offseason is, will Nathaniel Lowe return? Yeah,
no doubt. And that was asked via Twitter, and we're going to get to that when we get to our questions. I see a few more coming in through the chat with Coop, Natalie reminding us of their questions from the pregame show. We will definitely get to all those questions. We'll do it with the help of Jeff Wilson coming up too. So don't worry, we're going to get to your questions. Please chat along though for us. We appreciate that, and we continue to wrap up this game. Rangers win the finale 8-0. 8 runs on 11 hits with 2 errors. That's the only downside of this game. 8 runs, 11 hits, 2 errors for the Rangers. No runs, 4 hits, and 1 error for those Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. We want you to let us know what your questions are, what you ask us, anything you want for the off season. It'll also help us set our tone, our table for our off season shows. And we'll do all of that coming up pretty quickly here on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But for right now, we've got a new sponsor to tell you about. It's called Blue Chew, and this is an absolutely killer product. I'm going to put my glasses on for this one because I really want you to know everything you can know about it. So it's an online service that delivers. And you're like, delivers what? Well, fellas, it delivers confidence. We're talking confidence in the bedroom, right? And as they say, the women say this all the time, don't they? There is nothing more sexy than confidence in the bedroom. So I want you to have said confidence. Maybe it's for making that wonderful first impression. Maybe it's for making a continuous impression over and over. But either way, it's great for you. You can take this product day or night, and it is prepared and shipped directly to your door. That is the greatest thing about this. It is right to you. So make sure you get yourself some Blue Chew. There's none of those awkward questions that might come up in so many of those different situations like that. And I am looking right now for the last read about that, and we seem to have lost it. Do you have Blue Chew up there, Abs?
You get your first month free with code ALLCITY.com.
Yeah, there you go. So make sure you go to Blue Chew and get your first month for free at ALLCITY.com.
There you go, Rads. Next is something that I think all of the Rangers could benefit from today, and that is Z-Biotics, because the fellas just wrapped up 162. It's a long season. It's in the dog days. And Z-Biotics would be helpful because it is the first pre-drinking probiotic, and it is genetically engineered by a PhD scientist to tackle the rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into toxins, and then it's built up in the gut, which is why you feel dehydrated and not so great the next day. So this is going to be something that breaks it down. It kind of works for you, so you no longer have to choose between a good night or a good morning. You can simply have both with Z-Biotics. You can go to zbiotics.com/DLLS Rangers to get a 15% off code. And sharing is caring, so get some for your friends too.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that. Z-Biotics is a great product. And look, a lot of the guys are going to need it for the next few days. What guys do as they morph now into October, which officially starts Tuesday, as you know, a lot of guys will take the better part of the month of October off from baseball activities, which, for them, I mean, you hate to say it, but that's work. And Wyatt Langford, we hope, will take it off completely.
I got him being in the gym.
I hope not. We hope not.
At like 7 a.m.
I know that the coaching staff hopes not. They want him to just take it easy and go. He goes to Florida. That's home. He's going to go to Florida. He even admitted on the road trip, he's like, I started playing baseball, sort of in this stretch a year ago, February, because he was still at Florida and those games start. And he started playing meaningful games for Florida in February of 23. And he has felt like he hasn't stopped since because, he hasn't. He hasn't. He went through the whole process and the whole season, and he worked so hard to make sure after his short stint in the minors last year, after he got drafted here in July, and he had a very short stint in the minors, but he wanted to make it to the major leagues this year. So he worked so hard in the off season, and then, of course, had that great spring training, and then started well and then dipped a little bit. But boy, he has finished so strong. And one of the things he mentioned is that I just didn't realize what a grind every single day is, right? Yeah. You come every single day. And he goes, but I get it. And I'm ready to play every day. And he's shown it. He's gotten better as this year has gone on. And that's the thing. And even if you've played college, you just don't realize the difference of basically playing 162 games roughly in 180 days. So you have 18 days off. Many of those are devoted to travel. So it's a very difficult grind. It's something for people to get used to. And Coop's right. Wyatt needs to spend a month on the beach somewhere in Florida. And but in the meantime, what he needs to do is just tap the brakes a little on the hard work, let his body rest, and be ready, be healthy, and be great when he gets to spring training next year.
And we mentioned this in multiple shows. In the past 3 years prior to this year, Wyatt Langford played 175 games total in his college and minor league level. So 162 in 1 year is more baseball than he's played in his lifetime. It is an adjustment. I think that he's talked to the guys about the workload and divvying up the weight room and then the batting cage and things like that. So you are excited for how he's going to spend his offseason to recover. Now that he has a full year under his belt, he finished this year with a 253, 16 home runs, 74 RBI, 74 runs scored, and 134 games. It's one heck of a season. A lot of that work came from September, but I think even Wyatt Langford, I think honestly prior to September, I'm not sure he was super proud of what he had done and really wanted to do more. I think that he kind of felt the fire ignite under him, and he really did finish strong. So kudos to Wyatt Langford. It is, I don't think anybody can explain how tough it is to compete at this level on a daily basis. I mean, the mental game of that alone is something to talk about, and Wyatt Langford did it, I think, with flying colors.
Yeah, and look, Boach told us earlier, probably 3 weeks ago, that one of the reasons for this September surge is that Wyatt had already realized and already backed off. He realized that he was swinging too much, right?
Yeah.
Taking too many swings, too much time in the cage, too much time in the underneath the stadium cages, too much time grinding. And it was like, okay, just tap the brakes, okay? Just do it at our pace, and it will be better for your body. Well, it has been. He did. He backed off, which is not in his nature, right? He's that gym rat, and it's not in his nature to back off, but he did, and we see the results, right? The numbers speak for themselves. We had a discussion in the pregame edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast where we talked about whether he was, a candidate to be not only the rookie of the month of September, which is almost a given, but perhaps the player of the month of September. And
which Jeff, in a league with Aaron Judge, is incredibly challenging.
Jeff is a voter, and Jeff voted for him. And I won't be surprised if people, a lot of people, when they make those votes, they just look at the numbers, and really across the board, Wyatt Langford has better numbers in all but maybe one or two categories than Aaron Judge does, as good as he's been. So that'd be a pretty good feather in your cap to beat Aaron Judge for a Player of the Month award.
I think that
last month of your rookie year.
Put a beautiful bow on the 2024 season. But one thing to point out, Rads, because you said a lot of them are off work now. A lot of these guys are dads. And so the real work begins. So I remember when my dad came home from the season, we were waking up to go to school at 7 a.m. and it's a whole new life to these guys. They were out on the road. They were up at night. I mean, these guys have been in the West Coast playing until midnight every night. Now they've got to come home, participate with carpool, picking up all the kids, all the extracurricular activities. So it's an adjustment for families as well as wives and players. But after last year, I think they're all okay with the extended rest this season.
Did your dad jump both feet into the carpool things?
He tried. He overslept a little bit.
Yeah. Especially at first.
Yeah. No, but he was great. We definitely had our system, and he was accustomed to this. I mean, my mom was so amazing. She had like themed breakfasts every morning. 12 gold stars for Mother of the Year every year. So my dad just tried to kind of fit into that role as quick as he could when he got back. But he also let me stay up late and watch SpongeBob or play video games with him. So it was fun.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good. That's what dads are for.
Yeah, it's full-time job year round.
Yeah, it is. And like you say, especially for them, there's a lot of them have very young kids. So
oh my Lord, we need to add Ezekiel Duran to our prayer list.
Yes.
He just had a baby boy. His name's Samuel. So he is this baby's 3 days old. So Zeke, no rest for the weary.
No.
Any parenting tips? I'm sure you can send them on Twitter.
Yeah, there's some sleep deprivation in his future. Queen Katya's got a little one. Now he's sleeping now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But did he sleep at the beginning?
Yes, and then no, and then yes.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So you slept at the very beginning, and then all of a sudden you get the sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
And we had that with one of ours way back in the day. And there's nothing fun about it. Nothing at all. So anyway, these
Can't
guys have
imagine.
that in their future as well. Keep the questions coming. We appreciate them. We're definitely going to get to them in the fourth segment of the show. We're
I
going to
think we've
get
got
to
our
Jeff.
buddy out in Anaheim. Is he ready?
Yeah.
Look at old
Let's get Jeff.
J-Dub.
Let's get Jeff into the
Are we
program
ringing the
here.
phone? Hey, J-Dub.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Doing well.
Swell.
What's the mood down there? Is anybody still there? Or are they all on their own plane now, getting the heck out of Dodge?
They were all there. They were enjoying some food, and some guys will travel on their own without the team. But there's a pretty good group of young guys who'll be flying back, and they were in a really good mood. They celebrated Dustin Harris. Looked like Nathan Eovaldi had gotten a bottle of something dumped over his head. So, finish on a high note and going to the offseason feeling good.
And Bruce Bochy finishes with 2,170 wins. Was he able to kind of summarize just the season, the identity of 2024, put a pretty little bow on what the Rangers did this year?
Well, he was quick to say that it wasn't just one person's fault for what happened this season. I know a lot of people are pointing fingers at several hitters led by Adolis Garcia, but it really was an all-around effort. The stretch there in early August after the trade deadline, when the rotation had a series of injuries and the offense didn't really do anything to come out of it. That was the killer right there, because that's when the Astros got super hot, and then things just kind of never recovered. Bruce Bochy, he said before the game, he really thought that the Rangers would have been doing what the Tigers did. He believed right up until the very end. It just never grabbed hold and couldn't put anything together. But it was a good month, and that's a little consolation, I think. But it is something to go on, and some of these guys are grasping for anything, and we'll take it.
So did you talk to Dustin? Jeff, is he kind of floating on a cloud right now?
Yeah, he said he didn't remember touching second base on the home run. And he gave a little fist bump as he went around first. The 2-run double, his first major league hit, was the most impactful on the game. I mean, it was 1-0 at that point, and those were runs that the Rangers needed. It gave them some breathing room, allowed Nathan Eovaldi to maybe not breathe, but to have a little margin to work with. And then the home run was gravy, icing on the cake. He got the ball, said he's going to give it straight to his dad for throwing all the BP to him over all the years. So he was pretty fired up, and it's hard to blame him. I mean, that was a heck of a day.
It really was. And what about Nathan Eovaldi? I mean, we talked about it before the game. He doesn't do this, I don't think, unless he has sort of a mindset of like, I love this team. I want to do this for this team and for these guys. And then he goes above and beyond. I mean, we were speculating maybe 5 innings, something like that, working on short rest. And he goes 7 and basically, just shuts them down. 3 hits, no runs. He had a walk and 5 strikeouts. What did he have to say after the game?
He first of all, Bruce Bochy said that a couple of days ago, Nathan said, "Hey, I'm starting Sunday." It wasn't like, "Hey, do you want to start Sunday?" He said, "I'm starting Sunday." So if he says that, you're going to let him do it. He said it's part of being a professional competitor. It was his day. He wanted the ball. He said he acknowledged, I know where we are in the standings, but it doesn't matter. It's my job to go out there and pitch. So he did, and then we asked him about what's ahead this offseason. He absolutely wants to come back. I think that's obviously very mutual feeling with the Rangers. It's figuring out how the money works, and the Rangers are going to have the money. All right, it's just if somebody blows the doors off and makes it harder to do. But I everybody was saying you say goodbye to the free agents, you don't know what's going to happen, but and that's true. But I kind of have a good feeling about this. I really think that he'll be back.
Was anyone sentimental?
Nathaniel Lowe was a little
really
a little angry. I don't know about angry, but he had a really good finish to the season. He had a great September. Home run yesterday, home run today, and he was like, "Yeah, okay, shrug. Cool." These are quotes, and he said, "It's no good because we didn't win. We're not going to playoffs." And he said, "I didn't have a good season and helped the team get to the playoffs." And he's not wrong. It wasn't a bad season, but it's not as good as he's done in the past. He's this former Silver Slugger winner, hit 27 home runs in 2022, batted 300. So, he's set a high bar for himself at a position where you need to set a high bar.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've got the question about that coming up in the fourth segment, so we'll revisit that for those who want to know about what his future might look like as we talk to Jeff about that. No doubt about that. We want you to continue to ask the questions. We've got talk about what's happening elsewhere in baseball coming up, because it doesn't end today, the regular season. It goes till tomorrow because of the Mets and the Braves and the Diamondbacks and the craziness in the National League wild card. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for more from Jeff about this game today, the number 162. And we'll do all that in just a moment on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
But let's chat about floors. We did have Tim Cato here earlier today. He's on the DLLS Mavs podcast, and he loves some floors. I almost wish we would have got him to record his singing, because he loves to sing the jingle, which you've heard all of your life. Well, I've heard all my life. Empire Today. They are the one-stop shop for flooring. They are your go-to store because they don't do anything other than flooring. So you're not going to be tried, they're not going to sell you windows or refrigerate. I don't even know what would be in this kind of store, but they're going to sell you floors, and they're going to be great floors, and they are going to be the most affordable, guaranteed. They are going to offer the best quality, the best service with the best speed, get the right price and the right deal at the right time. They also have a curated product selection. They even have this cool feature that you can take your phone, and it has a smart shopping ability where you can take a photo of, what you're wanting to redesign, and it will kind of auto install these floors.
Beautiful.
So Miss Kathy would get to see what she gets before she's purchasing them, which is, floors are expensive. You want to make sure that you like it.
Yep.
So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the code DLLS at checkout. Restrictions may apply. Go to empiretoday.com/DLLS.
Have you heard about Roback? It's one of our new sponsors.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It is fantastic activewear for golf, for hiking, for anything you do outside, and especially anything that you do outside well into October. You know this. It's going to still be hot. There's some 90s coming up in our forecast. And so what you need is great wicking capabilities. The golf shirts, they have it. That shirt won't be sticking, to you, clinging to your skin. It'll give you flexibility. It'll give you movement. The thing I love about them is they've got the great collars that will be available and beautiful for years to come. So go to roback.com and use the code DLLS20 for 20% off your first order.
Heck yeah.
Roback is fantastic clothes.
And they have a game day.
They do have game day stuff, too. That's true. It's very true. Gear. So we bring Jeff back into the program. We finish wrapping up this Rangers game today, and we talk a little bit about we already mentioned the Harris, and everything that Justin Harris did today.
Can we get a moment for Jonah Heim?
Sure.
Because when when his throw out at home, it's been a minute since we've seen him do that.
Well, yeah, and again, that was a Langford throw and a good Jonah tag. But that Wyatt Langford throw out there, Jeff, that thing, didn't even hop. Wyatt caught it Wyatt made it there on the fly.
Yeah, it was a big too. If that run scores, the inning continues. Nathan is a pro. He was around 90 pitches at that point, so maybe he's tiring a little bit. I don't know, but it was a big play, and it's another example of what Bruce Bochy has seen this month from Wyatt Langford, who just kept getting better defensively no matter where he was. He was in center field at times on this road trip in this last month. Left field there, obviously, he came onto it strong, accurate throw. Ron Washington teams are going to push the envelope a little bit, and it was a close play. It really was, but it was a big play too, because at that point, again, it was still a 3-0 game, and you don't know what the Angels might do with their bullpen if that run scores. So, everybody's talking about great Septembers. I know we've talked about Wyatt's at nauseum, but that's just another feather in the cap.
Did you happen to talk to David Robertson also?
No, we waited for him, and he had, I don't know, he was somewhere where we couldn't go. But I did wanted to ask him if he knew that he finished at 99 strikeouts instead of 100. He got those first two out so quickly. I wonder, that pop-up that Jonah caught, I wonder if he was saying, hey, Jonah, you should drop it.
Drop it. Yeah.
let me have a chance at this here. But, a total pro, that guy. That's the best thing to say about him. Obviously he had a fantastic year at the age he's at, and he's his own agent, so it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with for next year if he wants to keep going. I would assume he would. This is a terrific season. Why not? Why, maybe you go out on top. Sure. He lives in Rhode Island. I think that's something we need to consider on the whether he comes back here, if he continues to play. I don't know this for sure. I don't want to put words in his mouth because he's a former Yankee, but the Red Sox make a lot of sense. Just right up the road for him is, with his boys and
family,
and I don't know, but I know the Rangers are going to try. They really need to. What a terrific year he and Yates had, and together, you kind of shudder to think where the Rangers would be without those two.
Yeah, incredible stuff from David Robertson. And I was telling Rads earlier, he was starting. I don't know if he did it the whole time. I just felt like I noticed he was starting to bring his son around the ballpark and, play catch with him and just really get quality time, because at the end of the day, he's a dad. His kid's like 11 or 12 now. So those things do factor, into him continuing to play. But what a joy David Robertson has been to this team this year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The back end of that bullpen has been absolutely spectacular. The announcers on the show today sort of concluded, the same thing I had heard, which is to say that Kirby Yates becomes kind of the second priority in the offseason as far as free agent pitching goes, behind Nathan Eovaldi. But they love Robertson and they love Heaney, and they would love to do deals with each of them if it's possible financially. But that's where the rubber hits the road, as they say. So we'll see how those things definitely work out for those guys. Anything else? Any other finishing notes from the game today, Jeff?
No, it just the Angels aren't very good. I feel bad for Rod Washington. He's a good baseball man, and this roster's not any good, and it has a lot of work to do. It's not just going to happen overnight either. But the Rangers, they finished well. They had a winning road trip, something they haven't had in a while. And they, the month was just really good. I just can't emphasize that enough. That they won games, they fought, they battled, they knew they were out of it. But guys kept going, and from Nathaniel Lowe to even Jonah Heim and Adolis Garcia having good months, and then the importance of seeing Jacob deGrom on the mound and Rocker and Leiter to see what they were able to do. Just there are building blocks for next year, because again, at least offensively, there's not going to be a lot of turnover. The Rangers aren't going to spend a ton of money on offense, I don't think. And they're going to have to put what money they have available to the pitching staff. Maybe you find somebody who you can put a right-handed bat to stick in the outfield on days when if Leote's back, Wyatt, Evan Carter, maybe those things. But no, they're not going to the postseason, and that stinks because it was a blast last year. But to go into the offseason with a good month and feeling good is not insignificant.
No, not at all. All right, so let us talk a little bit about what else is happening around the game today, which is mostly wild in the National League wild card. That American League wild card settled itself out. Either the Tigers or the Royals were just jockeying for 5th or 6th position.
Yeah.
Tigers lose, Royals win, means the Tigers are 6th, and they'll play the Astros first.
Well, and again, that might be a matchup they wanted. To be honest, I wonder. I'm not accusing anybody of tanking the last game, though. On the National League side, you have a case, but I think that if you look at the matchup, the best Astros hitter is Yordan Alvarez, and if he's going to be healthy and in there, the best Tigers pitcher is a left-hander, Skubal. So they might like that. I don't know, but go in there and take your shots. And we all saw last year that the Astros weren't particularly good at home in the postseason. So there's maybe that plays into this series. I'm not sure, but I think it's going to be fun. And but again, it's hard to count out the Astros after what they've done for the last 8 years.
Yeah,
right.
No substitute for experience, that's for sure.
No,
yeah,
none at all. I'm interested to hear Detroit's thoughts about that matchup, though.
Yeah,
the
no
city
doubt.
Of Detroit.
And
that's a big storyline.
There's the history with Justin Verlander in that one too, so that's interesting. But yeah, Jeff, you allude to
and
that,
AJ.
Yeah, that's right.
AJ.
Yeah. You allude to that. You allude to that National League thing, and we've got the, it's so crazy between the Diamondbacks, the Braves, and the Mets. And the Diamondbacks now are still alive because the Braves lost to the Royals. The Diamondbacks won, right?
Braves lost to the Royals 4-2.
The Mets beat the Brewers, and the Braves lost to the Royals. My conspiracy theory is on the Padres, because now that the Braves and the Mets have to play tomorrow, the Padres losing ensured that the Braves and the Mets have to pitch tomorrow, and these are must-win games for both teams. So the Braves are going to have they might have to use Chris Sale, their best pitcher. So let's say they win, all right, and they have to go play the Padres. Well, guess what? The Padres don't have to face Chris Sale, who's probably going to win the Cy Young Award. So I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything like it was intentional, but I don't know.
It's a coincidence,
theory,
maybe.
You want to get the tinfoil hat out. Let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah. And because of that, now Arizona could, because they won today, they could still be in the playoffs depending on what happens tomorrow, right? They need a doubleheader. They need one of the two teams in the doubleheader to sweep. Yeah, if it's a split, they're done. They're done. That's right. Okay.
And it's just very hard to sweep a doubleheader. But you're saying there's a chance. There's still a chance, I guess.
Yeah, there's always a chance.
Because Mets won today, Royals won, so Braves lost, and the Braves and the Mets would clinch. Well, the Braves can clinch a playoff spot with a win or a D-backs loss, and that didn't happen today.
Right.
So
right. And so it's up to those two teams tomorrow. If they split, they're both in. If one of them gets swept, the Diamondbacks are in.
Wow. Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, what do y'all think is going to happen?
Well, I think there's going to be a split. I mean, like Jeff said, it's very difficult to sweep a doubleheader, especially if you have an eye toward, Tuesday or Wednesday when you've got to play. I guess would they be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the games? Or Wednesday, Thursday?
Sure.
I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
There was a pretty popular MLB poll, and it said which team will make it. And it was like a Braves and Mets section, Braves and Diamondbacks section, Mets and Diamondbacks. 61% said Braves and Mets.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the smart money. But, it's very interesting. It's dicey. It's wild in the wild card, and it can definitely, and it is, again, just to be clear, these are two games that are makeup dates because of the effects of Hurricane Helene that came through the Atlanta area when they were supposed to play each other earlier last week. So now they have to play that doubleheader tomorrow. those two games were supposed to be played last Wednesday and Thursday. So your questions are coming up next. Keep them coming. We really want you to be a part of the program. We appreciate how much you already have been, and we'll get to those questions and break down everything that's anything for next year as we continue with the DLLS Rangers podcast.
And merch.
Oh,
Who
hello,
loves merch? I do. Did you know that you can get 10% off if you've never made an order before?
I did.
I just learned that. So if you've never made an order, you can get 10% off. We have some of the, I think it's the best merchandise. It's soft, it's quality, it's durable. It's also fun.
Yeah.
We have Mavs gear, Cowboys, Rangers, Stars, Wings, Texas Longhorns, just to name a few. We're going to get more. But merchandise is, one thing that we love to do here. We are going to have hats and sweatshirts. So be sure to check out merchandise. It's also pretty affordable. I think every shirt's around like $35, and you can give the gift of giving with a gift card. So you can go to store.allcitynetwork.com and you can get your merchandise. And I don't want to steal his thunder, but you do get a free shirt when you become a diehard. So check it out.
Yeah, and become a diehard. I mean, that's the point there, because you get 20% off all merch. And I would guess you could probably use the 10 and the 20 to get 30 on your first order once you are a diehard. So we really appreciate you becoming a diehard. You get so many other benefits than just sort of cheaper merchandise. You get to get access to all of the stuff that's put behind a paywall. There are Discord lounges where you can not only chat with some of us, but chat with each other.
With your best
right?
friends.
We'll all become besties. We really want you to do that. Join and become a diehard. It's like our inner circle, right? And soon, I know we'll have so many diehards that we'll just greet all of you as, hey, diehard, how you doing? You're a diehard. And we will love that. We would love that. Also, you're going to get 20% off our events, which are going to include trips, which is really cool, perhaps as far as to spring training next year. And we're really trying to put that together. You would be with us. We would give you backstage access at spring training. It's one of the best places to go. It's one of the best things to be. Become a diehard today. Yeah. So, questions. I got to go back to my list here. We've got a few of them, Jeff, from earlier, and you addressed one of them, Jeff, in the pregame edition of our DLLS podcast. But the question Natalie had is Adolis going to need surgery? Thoughts?
Yeah, they're not sure yet. He's going to be examined tomorrow in Arlington, and if he does need something, it seems like a lot of these guys go get cleanups and don't miss much time. Like a scope is only a couple week thing, unless they find something. If they repair something, then it's a little bit longer. But if you do it now at the time when he's going to be resting anyway, go ahead and do it. You always want to avoid surgery, though. So we'll see. But I'd expect news on that Tuesday when Chris Young gives his end of year review. So yeah. That's where I'm at on Adolis.
Yeah, and then the other question that Natalie had was about Evan Carter. Will he play center field next year? Now, the way I've heard this, Jeff, is that they really want to give Wyatt Langford a heavy dose of center field next year. They like that bat in that position of power. They, of course, love his speed out there. Not that Evan Carter doesn't have speed. What are your thoughts? What have you heard about that dynamic between those two? Certainly, Wyatt Langford, would not have to be platooned necessarily in any way.
Right. Yeah. Well, there are a lot of factors. I think he still is learning how to play the outfield in general. There are some routes that he takes that need work. The other night he made a nice catch at the wall. Was it because he took the wrong route? That type of thing. Leody Taveras is a very good defensive center fielder. He has a value for this team. He just had a down offensive year, so I don't know. And he cannot hit left-handers, so that kind of is a limiting thing. Evan, the last time we talked to him, he was twisting, and they had a plan for him to maybe start hitting again. He expects to be at full strength when spring training comes along. But do you want him to play center field where, you have to cover more ground? Do you want to maybe put him in left where he doesn't have to go so far to balls, go into gaps, things like that? Maybe save some wear and tear on his back if they're still concerned about it. So I'm not sure. He hasn't exactly hit left-handers either. So
right.
I just think that everybody needs to really cool their jets on what to expect from Evan Carter. He lost a year of development. It's basically like he's going to be a rookie again. So, I wouldn't be surprised if a right-handed hitting outfielder is signed.
And to your point about Leote, I mean, look, he's great at it, and he can work right at his offensive skills.
Right. Last year, he was a great ninth hole hitter. Leote can be clutch in those moments that he needs to. It was definitely just a down year. I think I want to go back to the Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford thing, because it is important to note that Evan Carter's experience is still lacking. Now, he does have World Series experience, but Wyatt Langford has played a heck of a lot more than Evan Carter. So, like Jeff said, it's like he's going to get a rookie year yet again. And if you think about it, that's kind of crazy to think of how long Evan Carter's been up, and he's just had so many obstacles. I am interested to hear what he's going to say. When Jeff and I talked to him about his back, he was sharing, he didn't want to share too much, but it sounded like there was underlying issues that he was trying to get to the bottom of that would, affect mechanics or other things with his style of play, and he's working on those to, hopefully increase things all across the board. So I'm very excited to hear what he has to say. I would really love to see Evan Carter play a full season. Evan Carter would too, obviously. But it is crazy that Wyatt Langford has double the time in the league.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a great year and really a fantastic finish to the year. Coop's wondering, Jeff, about the possibility of John Gray being the closer. He's got such good stuff, right? That it's been at least sort of discussed before. Anything to that?
There is. John is going to be a guy whose name comes up in a lot of different facets. Like if Nathan Eovaldi signs somewhere else, well, the Rangers will have John Gray. If Kirby Yates signs somewhere else, the Rangers will have John Gray, maybe to be the closer. He's going to make $14 million. All right, so that's a lot for a closer, at least as far as the Rangers are concerned. It's way too much for a setup guy. But he also has value. $14 million for a number 4 starter is a pretty good value. So other teams might be attracted to that. The Rangers might decide that they need John as a member of the rotation. Again, with the potential of DeGrom, Rocker, Leiter, Bradford all in the rotation at some point with injuries, with innings short. You really don't necessarily want to be giving away starting pitchers. So it'll be interesting. And Tyler Mahle too. He's another guy who's going to be short on innings. So they've got a lot of juggling to do. But John Gray's right in the middle of it.
So a couple of questions from Sharon Cooper that came via Twitter, and she kind of actually made some absolute statements that will turn into questions because they're worthy. One of which was, okay, that's it. Nathaniel Lowe has done enough, and we love Nathaniel, and I wish we could say that absolutely, but we can't, can we, Jeff? As far as Nathaniel Lowe goes, we don't know what the future here holds for him.
Correct. On the plus side for him coming back, which is probably a negative for the organization, is that Justin Foscue didn't hit here the last month. Mm-hmm. So they didn't get any questions answered there. Of course, they didn't call up Blaine Krim, missing an opportunity to find out what he has. I don't think Ezekiel Duran is a first baseman. So he's the leader in the clubhouse, if you will, at least internally. And when you look at his season, it was a plus. He finished on the plus side on WAR. His on base percentage was top 10 in the American League. Only Aaron Judge and Juan Soto had more walks in the second half than Nathaniel Lowe. He won the Gold Glove defensively last year. probably a little bit of a drop-off this year defensively, but the fact is that he's not the worst option out there. He really isn't. But the Rangers could do better. It just depends on how much money they want to spend. Like, can you get you want to take a one-year flyer on Paul Goldschmidt, who's probably not going to re-sign with the Cardinals, a guy who's a native Texan who's won at least one MVP, maybe 2 MVPs in his career, and is a really good player and a Gold Glove winner himself. Pete Alonso, I don't know that the Rangers want to get into that kind of bidding war because I think this is his first go-round at free agency. He's probably going to strike it big. So, I think Lowe has a good chance to come back at $9.5 million, which is probably what he'll make in arbitration. The Rangers have to find a way to make the numbers add up to them. Can they spend less and get more value at first base than they would out of Lowe, or can they acquire a guy via trade who would give them more value?
And I think Nathaniel Lowe is going to work incredibly hard in the offseason. I'm not saying he doesn't work hard in other off seasons, but he's been very visibly frustrated this season. He's talked in depth about it on his podcast with Jared Sandler, and I think he really has a big goal in his career of being a Gold Glove winner and a Silver Slugger in one season. That's incredibly hard to do, but I do think that Nathaniel has a little bit of a I need to prove it to myself mentality going into 2025, because you can just tell he was not feeling his best. He's dealt with a lot in his personal life, and you want to keep that in mind, just have some sort of understanding too. But Nathaniel Lowe, I think, disappointed himself this season, so I'm excited to see what he can do in 2025. Now I want to present the question to you two. Do you think that Josh Smith, do you think this is a career year for him, or do you think he is just scratched the surface of like the kind of player he can become?
Well, I think
he's.
Yeah,
go
sorry,
ahead,
Jeff. Yep, no, please, you go.
I think he's scratching the surface. The problem is, it's going to be hard for him to play every day here.
Yeah.
So for him to repeat his season here is going to be difficult, assuming everybody is healthy. Now, if something goes haywire with Josh Young this offseason, then there might be some at bats for him. But, and I firmly believe this, if you give guys everyday at bats, any major leaguer is going to perform. That's how talented these guys are. And he got everyday at bats and he performed. I mean, he teetered a little at the end because this is the most he's ever played. It's a grind, and he probably was dealing with some things. He started dealing with them in June, but I think this is who he is as a player. The problem is, I don't know if he can be this player again if everybody is healthy with the Rangers.
Yeah, that was kind of a synopsis of how I was going to answer it, Jeff, which is basically, the question might be, can Josh Smith duplicate this kind of production in a more part-time role? Because it's likely that is what he'll have. And we just know history tells us that it's just difficult for a young player to be that utility guy and just be plugged in here and plugged in there and still be productive. It's one of the reasons, in particular last year, that the Travis Jankowski thing was so amazing last year, right? Mm-hmm. He stayed productive. He stayed way up here in his limited reps, right? His limited opportunities. And older players, they're just really appreciative of every moment they possibly can, glean out of a major league career, seem to figure out a way to do that better. It's more difficult for younger players who maybe just get a little bit frustrated and down in the mouth about the fact that, man, I'm good enough to play every day. I want to play every day. And that, permeates, right, their attitude and their focus. So, but to Jeff's point, if he has an opportunity to play every day, I think we're going to see him continue like this. And look, I will say this, Bruce Bochy does a masterful job. He always says that. We're going to find at-bats for a guy like him. If he's hitting like that, we're going to find at-bats for a guy like him. So hopefully they'll be able to continue to do that.
Yeah, I think that's my unsung hero of the 2024 season. He went from hitting 185 to 259. So kudos to Josh Smith.
Yeah, fantastic. So, Jeff, we haven't had a chance to talk this weekend. I don't know if you heard the great news that you might not think is so great, but we do have a show tomorrow, as it turns out.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I thought you'd
the enthusiasm.
I thought you'd think that's great.
What time?
And Queen Caddy over here is saying, "Don't sound so excited." But
what time?
It's not till 4.
4?
Yeah, you can sleep in.
Well, he's got to fly.
Just kidding.
When do you fly? You flying today or tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm on the red eye tonight. So
okay.
I'd be okay if we went at 7 a.m. while I'm still awake before I get a chance to go to bed.
Yeah, so that would be good, wouldn't it? Man.
Jeff's world, we're just living in it.
Yeah.
But we'll be there. I'll show up.
Well, Rangers fans, there are some former Rangers players in this playoff run, so we are going to keep you up to date on those, and we're going to start talking about the postseason.
Yeah, we'll talk off-season, all off-season long, and we want you always to be a part of it. So just as we've enjoyed you being a part of it today, hope that we've done a decent job answering the questions that you had today. Jeff, travel safely. You know, if you get in one of those big planes, if you get the 5 in the middle, you can lay right down and sleep right there if you on that red eye.
Well, I've been upgraded, so that'll help.
Ooh.
That's even Jeff's in first class. Yeah,
I'll try to get a cocktail down real quick and try to sleep.
There you go.
You deserve one.
Yeah, you've earned it.
Get your Z-Biotic.
Yeah, you've earned it.
Oh,
Yeah, have a Z-Biotic before, and then you could have a couple of cocktails. So great work as always, Jeff. We appreciate it. We will see you tomorrow here sometime around 4 o'clock. We hope to see each and every one of you, and tell your friends about us. We want to see you tomorrow and all off season long. Yeah.
What was our record since we started the show?
We got another win.
Yeah.
So we are 15-11.
Look at that.
15-11. We're 4 games over 500. So there you go.
Call it the abs, rads, and J-Dub effect.
Yeah, I think you can see what effect we have. Wait till next year.
Playing hard and having fun does to
wait until next year. Yeah. Play hard and have fun. PHHF, right?
Yeah, my papa made it.
That's fantastic. So we'll be playing hard and having fun all off season long. We hope you will do the same for us. So for J-Dub and Abs, I'm Rads, and of course, we can't do it without the Queen. She'll be back with us tomorrow. And we'll be back with you tomorrow, too. So we look forward to that here on the DLLS Rangers Podcast.
All right, let's do this.
We all silly like the mayor.